Hi, guys. Welcome to We Be Fishing, the viewable podcast right here on YouTube. That's a spin-off version of the B&T Catfishing Adventures channel. Listen, we got a great show for you today as we're doing a revisit with a couple that we talked to approximately a year and a half ago that live down on the Alabama River. That's right. This couple is together, and a big part of their relationship has become fishing. He didn't start out, Michael didn't start out knowing a whole lot about fishing in the beginning, but started watching videos on YouTube and other places to help learn more about fishing, and their experience has continued to grow as they've done that, and as they've just got out and started doing things on their own and learning from trial and error. We are so pleased to have them today. Again, Michael and April Boozer from the Alabama River. Thank you guys so much. We're so happy that you could be with us today.
No, we're doing just fine, thank you.
Great. It's good to see you both, and glad to do that you're doing well down there. Now, we had you guys on an episode actually in November of 23, 2023. So where we're at now, that's like a year and a half ago. So 6 months away from being 2 years since that interview, and it doesn't seem like it's been that long actually.
Yeah, it really does. It just seems like a few weeks ago. I guess time flies when you're fishing.
That's right. When you're having fun, it flies, and fishing is always fun, even on those bad days. Um, now, Michael, you started out initially years ago fishing, a little rod and reel fishing and things like that, I believe. Isn't that right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and maybe wasn't really serious about it, or just didn't have the uh, resources back then to learn more about fishing. And I think you started watching some YouTube videos or maybe TV shows and things like that to help improve your knowledge about fishing. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
and I know when we talked before, last time, you guys had got into jug fishing, and and that became a big part of both your and April's life. And I know when y'all got married, I think fishing has been a big part. Fishing and boating and family and all that has been a big part of your life. Is that right?
yeah, absolutely has been. We bought a house on the river, on the Alabama River, so we live on the water now.
Right.
And speaking of living on the water, congratulations on! I saw you just bought you a barn dominium on the river yourself,
Right.
and
Ohio.
and
Thank you.
and we moved to the Alabama River back in I moved out here in 2016, and then April came to live with me a few years after that, after we got married.
Yeah.
And the river really is a focal point of our life. We spend most of our free time on the river, on the water, fishing and boating, and just hanging out and enjoying that river life. You know.
Well, great. Well, and I know for a fact that is a wonderful, wonderful life. Now, I'm going to go ahead and ask April because, like I said, the jug fishing is something y'all had been doing. You did the rods and reels, but you're doing the jug fishing, but I think you're doing a little bit more stuff now as well. April, what kind of fishing are types of fishing are y'all doing today nowadays?
Who's asked what types of fishing are we doing now? He said,
Well, when we talked to you last, we were primarily doing the jug fishing. We had built our jugs and everything and kind of mastered that on those builds. But now we have kind of advanced over into limb lines. Of course, we had to boozer fry them, and so they have a little different spin, just like our jugs do. Everybody on the river knows when they see our limb lines because they're a little extra special. You want to show him one?
Yeah, you know.
All right.
So our limb lines are a little different. Of course, we incorporated the jug, and then our reflective tape just for visibility. We're all about visibility out here on the main channel. But we have, how did you tie this one up?
Take the hook off first.
There you go.
And of course, we wrap it around the jug. That makes it real easy, makes it real portable, real convenient to store and keep up with in the boat.
Right. That's excellent.
So I don't know if you can see this. So this piece actually slides to get to the length that we need it to once we pick the line that we are going to place it on. So we can actually slide this twine in the PVC, which is within that noodle, but we clip this onto our pre-hung
loops. We have little loops that we hang on the trees that have a large industrial size
ring.
Swivel.
A swivel. Yeah, it's like a large swivel. It's like a 800-pound swivel.
Right.
That's tied to a piece of 90-weight nylon cord, and we just tied it into a little circle, and we hang those little 1-foot circles on the limbs on the trees, and we just leave them there. We don't take them down, but they're not very visible. They kind of blend into the trees, and and so, but people that live up and down the river here, they know their hours,
right,
and they have that swivel that's already tied to them. So when we pull up in the boat, we just have this little D-ring on our side that we just clip on the swivel and just keep on moving in and out real fast. Just 2 or 3 seconds, we've hung a limb line, and then when we come back to get them, it's the same way. We pull up to it, 2 or 3 seconds, we're out.
Oh wow!
Again, and this little float that's on here kind of works like a slip float. A slip float rig.
Uh-huh.
Too. Okay. And so this will float on the water. It helps us to see it, but it also helps us indicate if there's a fish on there or not, and it helps us to store them as well. You see it. You could push on it right here, and it'll slide with a little traction up and down the line here.
Nice.
It also helps us set the depth of our lines and our hooks too.
Right. Absolutely. That is great. Now that buoyancy, I've used similar, and the buoyancy of the jug in there also can help take pressures off of the limb itself, so that it doesn't break the limb or whatever, and it helps to wear the fish out quicker. And so that I love that idea. That's really, really nice. Now again, Michael, I've been, like I said, watching some videos and stuff and different channels and different things over the years. Now, would you say that has helped your knowledge about fishing and improved it?
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. When I moved out to the river, I could count the number of times that I had gone fishing and caught fish with the fingers on my hands, for my entire life. I just really didn't know anything beyond putting a worm on a hook and throwing it in the water.
Right.
Once I moved to the river, and I decided, well, I guess I really need to learn how to fish. And I really just turned to YouTube and started watching different YouTube channels, watching other people fish, seeing what they were doing, how they were doing it. Of course, your channel being one of them, once you first came out, I found yours because you were doing jug fishing, which at the time was something I was interested in.
Right.
And so I remember your channel back, when it was, just a couple hundred followers on there. I know now you're pushing, you have a lot more than you did then. You're really growing. But I watched you jug fish, and that taught me a lot. Of course, I watched some of the other channels, the catfishing channels and all, and learned how to tie my knots, how to tie my rigs, what rigs was, what they were for, why you used what type of weight, what type of hook.
Yeah.
A Carolina rig versus, just all the different types of rigs, and, then I learned about demon dragons, and then I learned about chicken and learned, just a whole lot of things from YouTube. It really
different baits, rigs, hooks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, all of it. Yeah, and it's out there, and it's It's a wonderful thing. That's something I didn't have growing up. Thank goodness I had, a grandfather and a father that was interested in fishing. So I learned the basics from them. And then a lot for me later on was also trial and error or learning from friends that fished as well and things like that. But, some of it is trial and error when you get out there and you're actually doing it. You're putting time in out there on the water and you're experimenting with things on your own and finding out what can work and what doesn't work. I feel that way. Do you find that to be true too? That part of it's
Oh
just
yeah.
getting out there and doing it and trying it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Once I learned the basics off of YouTube and then I got out on the water and I started applying that and using it, then I started to kind of make some changes on my own with what worked with me.
Right.
Anything from the way my rod holders were on the boat to the way I was tying some of my rigs. I started tying different. When I started doing jugs, I started taking different ideas from different people. Same thing with the limb lines. When I watch the YouTube videos about limb line, and I would get the basics and I would see what they were doing, but then I would change it and add things and take things away that made it good for us. Like one thing here, the Alabama River, is sometimes the current, you start, one day the water would be sitting still
Yeah.
and it's like glass and it's not moving at all. Some days the water flows in reverse depending on what they're doing with the dams. And sometimes you have a gentle current. Sometimes that water is really trucking down through there, you know. We want to fish regardless of what the current's doing.
Right.
And one of the big things with the limb lines, when you're in high current and that water is moving 3, 4, even up to 5 miles an hour, is you can't just be hanging out 2 or 3 feet from the bank in a boat. If the wind is blowing and the current's running, you need to be able to get in and get out real quick.
Right.
And, that kind of helped us. We had to design our limb lines and stuff around that. And, it's the same thing with our jugs when we started designing our jugs, whether we were in the slough or the main channel or if it was daytime and nighttime and then taking into account other boaters and other fishermen and everything. And you don't want to just clog up a portion of the lake with jugs and they come running through at 50 miles an hour and, they don't see them.
Right.
Then
Yeah.
they run over your jugs and then they have, fishing line wrapped around their prop and, you don't want that to happen. So, we had to incorporate a few things into our jugs, especially for nighttime, which was why we added the lights to them and stuff.
Right.
Another thing we started doing is we started tagging our limb lines. And so all of our limb lines are tagged now based on where they're at. Like I said, we have the little permanent spots that we put on some of our favorite trees that hang over the river. And those little loops stay there and we just clip to them when we drive by. And we have tags on them and the tags will be labeled. And that way, whenever we catch a fish, we can come home and we record it in a book, what the day of the year it was, the month, the date, whether it was daytime, nighttime, the bait that we used,
Oh, wow.
whether we came back to a bare hook or if the bait was still on the hook or if we had a fish and what kind and what size of fish. And hopefully by keeping up with that and actually writing it down in a couple, 4 or 5 years, we'll have enough data saved up. We can actually build some charts and everything and know based on weather and water conditions and time of year, what kind of bait we need to put out and where we need to put it to catch the fish that we want.
And that's an excellent idea.
Yeah.
Fishing is so much more than just baiting up a hook and throwing it out there. Obviously, as you have found, and you're taking it to a even greater scientific level and doing the research out there in the field, literally type thing, or on the water, and coming home and charting it. And that's, fishing patterns change, and you're right. Whether it's with the current, the temperatures, the time of year, so on and so forth, or whether they go into spawn, they're biting less, so on and so forth. But what they may be hitting on at certain times of the year and certain temperatures, will play a factor. And by you charting this stuff, then you're setting yourself up for success in the future by knowing the habits, the patterns of these fish. It's giving you some greater insight. Well, I know you guys are loving fishing out there. And like I said, uh, it seems to have brought you and April really close together and being out on the water and enjoying the water out there as a couple. But uh, I believe you guys like to maybe have friends and family come out with you sometimes fishing. April, do you guys like to bring out the family and show them how to fish and things like that with you? Do you bring them out on the boat with you?
Just talk about how we bring family and friends out here with us. We're teaching kids how to fish. The grandkids that are on the way, we look forward to that.
Oh, absolutely. So, so our oldest daughter is 26, and she's actually expecting our second grandchild, and we have Lauren fishing now. There's days that she's begging us to go out and hang limb lines and everything. And like he said, prior to the river life, I can probably count 5 times in her entire life that she's ever fished, and now she's just as excited as we are. The little girls are 12-year-olds. We actually have them interested in. They're not as afraid of the big catfish anymore. They're willing to pull them in and net them and
That's awesome.
do that as well. Our grandson, which is 2.5, he caught his first little brim off the pier back in February, and it was just amazing watching him. So we just know that we're going to be able to incorporate that in their lives, the whole river life, but fishing this afternoon at 2:00. So you have to tune in to us at 2:00 this afternoon. We're actually going to learn the gender of our second grandbaby.
Oh, wow.
Well, and it's of course got a fish theme. Is baby a fishy or a fishy? So we're gonna have an exploding bobber. But all of our family, they just kind of know to expect a boat ride and maybe go check some limb lines or some jugs whenever they come.
Right.
And it's just we're really exposing the fun of fishing, and that it's not just a hook and pole worm and pole off the bank anymore. That we make a boat ride out of it, check the lines, go to the sandbar, and then come back by and check them, and they're seeing that we use so many other different types of baits also, that it's not just a worm to fish with. And so
one of my favorite things to do, especially when around holidays and stuff, the night before I'll go throw out some jugs and hang a few limb lines, and then the next morning when the family starts showing up, we'll make a boat ride out of it. We'll ride by and see if we've caught any fish, and they always enjoy that. And sometimes we'll have friends from work that'll come hang out with us for the day, and we'll go and have an hour or two flurry of activity where we're hanging limb lines, we're putting out jugs, and then we'll go somewhere, to a nice section of bank or a sandbar, and we'll park the boat, and we'll have a little Coleman grill on the boat, and we'll connect a sausage and stuff and hang out and talk, or one of the state parks is here, in this section of the river, and hang out there for a while, for a couple hours, and then or swim, or depending on what time of year it is, and then go back and spend another hour or two checking the jugs and checking the limb lines to see if we caught anything. So it really lets you incorporate socializing with fishing also, but you're not having to fish the whole entire time. It allows you to go do other things and then come back to it. I mean, we do still fish with rod and reels, but it's mostly if we're trying to catch bait.
Sure.
And
fishing
off the pier.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And that can be just as fun as well. It's wonderful that you guys are bringing the entire family in, and the friends, and exposing them to the river life and fishing, and just the sport of fishing. And with those grandkids and your kids, you're making such wonderful memories, and there's nothing more important than making memories with your family. and something that they're going to remember long after you're gone. And they're going to tell their kids and their grandkids that my parents or my grandparents, this is what we did. And they showed us how to do this. And that's just a wonderful, wonderful thing. You're getting these people out, you're getting them on the boat, you're getting them on the water or on the bank. It doesn't matter. You're getting them away a lot of times from those video games or just sitting in
Oh yeah.
front of the TV. You're getting them outside, whether they can have a positive, experience out there. And that's just a wonderful thing. Well,
Yeah, and
listen,
that's a big
we
deal.
just
Just pulling them away from their cell phones and their tablets is a big deal. Being able to, and they don't mind putting those devices down to come out and come fishing. They enjoy that.
oh
And then
yeah,
I can always tell the girls, Sadie and Izzy, they're both 12. One's my daughter and the other one's my niece. And they'll come out here and I don't have to do anything. I just sit down in the boat and crank it and they untie us, push us off. We'll get where we're going and
yeah,
they'll jump up and they'll hang the limb lines and bait the hooks and do all that stuff. And I just watch them and I'm proud. And my
yeah.
daughter, Sadie, has already learned how to throw the cast net to catch shad.
Wow.
And there's not very many 12-year-old girls that know how to throw a cast net.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
That's
and I always
awesome.
tell them, one day you're going to be able to teach your husbands and your children how to do all this.
Absolutely.
If their husband doesn't already know, hopefully they come already knowing, but if they don't, they can
Right.
teach them.
Right. Well, listen, I thank you guys for letting us visit and interrupt your day. And, just to have you on here to check in with you guys down there on the Alabama River. It was a great experience talking to you the first time. And I wanted to just get an update. And, to be honest, I've noticed that some people recently have been watching the video from the past of you guys down there on the Alabama River. So this gives them a update. If they just recently watched that one from a year and a half ago, they get a quick update on where you guys are at now, what you're doing now, and all that. And again, having those grandkids, hearing that you're having the kids and the friends out, and you're working with them and showing them that just again is an amazing thing, and it's just wonderful. So, congratulations on doing that, and the success and your continued growth, and the growth of your relationship, even spending it together and out there on the water. We appreciate it, but we're going to go ahead and let you guys go so you can get ready for that reveal, I guess, later today. And congratulations on that. And we hope to see you guys soon. And again, thanks for being on the show with us today.
All right, you too.
Thank you.
And enjoy your house. You're going to love it. Once you live on the water, you really can't live away from it.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah,
I just hope you spoiled yourself for the rest of your life now.
Can't go back now.
I'm okay with that. You guys take care, and we'll see you soon.
All right, thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Man, it was great having Michael and April back on the show with us today. Such a fantastic interview. I really enjoyed this revisit episode with them down there on the Alabama River. And it's wonderful to hear how they've improved their fishing game by watching YouTube videos, things like that, as well as just through trial and error, getting out there and putting in some time on the water. And, it's improved their fishing and it's improved their relationship probably too, as they enjoy life together down there on the water. Folks, thanks for spending time with us watching it. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Go ahead and give us a thumbs up to show April and Michael that you appreciate what they're doing out there and them sharing it with us here today. We thank you so much. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already as well. We would greatly appreciate that also. You guys have a wonderful day, and we'll see you back here real soon on We Be Fishing. You guys take care.